Hey Moonies, welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with comedian, comic book writer, rapper, cosplayer, and all-deaf producer, Roxxy Haze. Hey Roxy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. I just took a nap, so I feel real good.
Oh, naps are amazing. I love naps so much. I wish I took a nap today, but I'm happy you got one.
Thanks. Wish I could share it and not feel bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm happy because you got a nap. And funny enough, like that reminds me, like I feel like that's so like Usagi, like
legit,
just like nap time.
So
I feel like it's perfect for this podcast. But the first question I usually ask every guest is, "What's your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?"
So I remember watching it like back in the day, like when everybody kind of watched it, used to come on like Saturday mornings and stuff like that. And funny enough, I was not super duper into Sailor Moon when I first like remember seeing it. I liked it, but I was such like I'm a tomboy, you know what I mean? Like I'm so hard. I don't want to watch this. So I remember seeing it, but I was not like super into it. And then I actually had a nerd podcast a couple years ago called Nerd Talk, and I had some friends on there, and they were just like so hype about Sailor Moon, and I always thought it looked really good. Like I said, like I've seen it, but I never was just like, oh, this is good. Then I rewatched it, and I was like, oh wait, I love this. Like it's so cool. Like the animation is dope. Like the stories are really cool, and it's super cute. So once I was like, you can like cute stuff. I got back into Sailor Moon, and then got back into it again, during the pandemic. I feel like a lot of people were watching just way more anime last year, just like longer series. So, got back into it then. So,
yeah, I binged a lot during the pandemic too. Like I got into like the new She-Ra, and like I went on like a whole cartoon binge. I was like, just give me all the cartoons that are out.
I needed it.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, yeah, I've heard that too, where like people were like, "Oh, like it was too girly," and I had that thing where I was like, "Oh, I don't like pink. It's too girly," and then like later on, I was like, "Actually, I kind of like pink. Like I want pink."
That is legit me. I was just like black and hoodies, and I don't want a dress on. Like, and now I'm just like dresses all the time, and a tutu. And this, I need it. I think when we're like, especially, I'm not sure how old you are. We like around the same age.
I'm just 30.
Okay, yeah, so you're like the same age. It was something about just like you had to pick who you were. Like your identity was just very much drenched in like your clothes and how you dress and all of that stuff. More so now, I'm kind of happy about that. Like I have a daughter, she's 13, so it's not, clothes aren't as much of a like identifier as it seems like they used to be like the 90s 2000s. So to me it's really cool kind of seeing that shift.
Oh yeah, I haven't noticed that, but I believe you. Like because yeah, like you said, like clothes were everything. Like it defined your whole being. Like
and who hung out with you and your friends and stuff. We were just way more materialistic, it seems like, back then. And so it's like if you had this, you were this person. If you had that, you were that person, and it's not as much like that anymore. I know part of it's just like the internet and kids being more like exposed to different stuff, including Sailor Moon. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like you can watch Sailor Moon, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be super or overly feminine. It's okay to like, feminine or masculine things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like whatever you want to like. Just be
happy. Just enjoy it.
I agree. So in your rewatches, did you have any favorite episodes or moments?
I'm gonna have to go with, and this is gonna be random, but just every time Tuxedo Mask came on, just because like I always look at that meme where it's like you didn't do anything, and he didn't. He really like until later, once he started like on the reincarnation and all that stuff, but like at the beginning, he really was not super helpful. Like he was more of like a distraction. Like, hey, look up here, you got this, and then he just left. So just as a comedian, that just cracked me up so much, seeing that. But yeah, I think that is my favorite, just because to me it was just like this is stupid. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just about to say pick that rose up. It looks like litter. You're just littering every episode.
That's so true. Like, take your rose with you. Like,
Yo, take it with you.
that was one of the things I tweeted. Like, a tweet saying, "Tweet as if Sailor Moon was real." And a lot of people were talking about that. They were like, "Someone just almost killed me with this rose. It's like stuck in the ground now. Like, is he gonna come back and
He
pick
would
this up?"
throw
Like,
it so sharp, and it would always almost impale her. And I never understood how that was supposed to help.
yeah,
And then just leave.
I feel like a lot of people think like him not helping is like an exaggeration, but like when you watch it, you're like, he really ain't do nothing.
He
like,
really didn't.
And left.
He would legit be like, "I know you have the power within you, Rose," and then just dip. And she's just like, "Who is that? I love him," and that was it. Then later it's like, yeah, we're drawn to each other, blah blah blah. So it makes sense later, but I still feel like, why didn't he ever like help punch someone? Like, you know, at the beginning, like, you can go punch somebody and we still don't know who you are.
Right? Yeah. Like, you don't have to be so mysterious. Like, you can help out a little bit. Like, it'll be fine. Yeah. Do you have a favorite Sailor Scout or Senshi?
I feel basic. I'm gonna have to go Moon. Like, I just have to. I feel like I just like her transformations the best too, and we share a lot of similar like personality traits. She's super bratty, super whiny. I'm super bratty, super whiny. But next would have to be Pluto. I feel like Pluto doesn't get a lot of shine, but Pluto definitely deserves some shine. And I actually got to interview Veronica Taylor. She was out here. It was something with All Def, and we can get more into All Def later. But we went to GamiCon out here in Palm Springs, and she was up there, and I got to interview her. And she also voices April O'Neil in the original Ninja Turtle series, and Ash Ketchum and his mom. Oh, wow. So like, yeah, she was super nice. She was super little too. I noticed that a lot of voice actors, they're like really, really little, but she was just so nice, and it was really cool to hear her like do the voices and do all of this stuff. So I always liked Pluto, but meeting her made me be like, yeah, Pluto's up there now.
That's super cool. Yeah, Pluto's one of my favorites. Also, like, this is such a safe zone. Like, Sailor Moon's also my favorite, so we can be basic together, even though it's not
good.
So all good. Yeah, Pluto is definitely like in my top 5. Maybe like top 3 Sailors.
She's dope.
She is like,
and then I always like Luna too. I'm like, does Luna count? Some people say Luna doesn't count. I feel like Luna counts.
Luna definitely counts. Like, she is part of the team. She rolling out with everybody else. She does more than Tuxedo Mask.
That's what I said. And somebody tried to argue me down. I'm like, no, there would be none of this if it wasn't for her. So we need her. She's part of it. Also, randomly, I just looked up something else with Veronica Taylor. I didn't know she voiced on like One Piece. I don't really watch One Piece because it's long and I'm behind. I'm like, I'm just going to wait till it finishes and take 20 years and start from the top. But she also voiced young Griffith in Berserk. I was like, what? That's random.
Yeah.
The range.
Seriously, yeah, I looked her up too once you mentioned her, because I was like, what else has she been in? And she does Nico Robin. Wow. I watch One Piece, which is the main crew members.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Oh, so she's out here.
Like, she is, like...
Yo, she was the mom and grave of the Fireflies? I wish I would have knew that during the interview.
Wild.
Yo, shout out to Veronica Taylor. I gotta message you again. Be like, hey girl, can we re-talk?
Right. Like, I got some good questions.
Way more Rapunzel. Yeah, we gotta talk.
That is cool. Yeah, I gotta get her on the podcast.
She's super.
Yeah, Pluto is so dope, and she seems really cool. So that's awesome. It's cool you got to interview her. Do you talk about Pluto?
Yeah, a little bit, but not really. We more so talked before because she didn't have a whole lot of time either. So I just kind of like had to hurry up and was like, hey, 5 questions, blah, 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 blah. So we didn't get to talk that much. But it was still cool.
That is super cool. Super, super cool. Yeah, she's legendary. But you also are pretty legendary. Like,
thanks.
I'm like reading your bio and like reading your intro, and I'm like, dang, comedian, comic book writer, rapper, cosplayer, producer. I'm sure I didn't even get it all either.
I just do a lot. I'll be bored.
But, hey, it's fun as long as you're happy.
It is fun. I agree. So,
I think
so stand-up's my main primary. I always like to say that, like, everything kind of started with stand-up, and then I kind of just started branching out from there.
Okay. How did you get started in comedy?
Ooh, so actually, let me take that back. I actually started doing. Wait, I feel old when I forget my own story. So I'm sorry. So I actually started doing YouTube videos first, but not like taking it seriously. Just kind of, I think like my first video was me doing it was me doing the dipping pits from the show The Game.
Oh.
I was just home. Yeah, and dip, and dip, and dip. Yep, it was that. So I was doing that, just kind of making videos and doing rants and stuff. But I always used to write. Like I used to write scripts and kind of do my own plays. I was one of those people. So my dad was like, "Hey, you should try stand up," and I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "No, just try it and see what happens." So I spent like a week or two just like writing some jokes or stuff that I thought would be funny. And then I found an open mic in Houston. I think it's closed. It's definitely closed now. This is like 8 years ago. I started like 8 years ago. And I went up there. I had invited like everybody. I was like, hey, it's my first time doing stand up. Please come out. Please support me because I'm going to be scared. And so they, like 30 or 40 people came to this very small bar. I had a piece of paper and I was just reading from it. And they all gave me like a standing ovation. And I was like, oh my God, I could do stand up. And I went outside and the host was out there. The next person was up by the time I went outside. Host was up there and he was like, yeah, you should. He was like, for that to be your first time and you didn't just like walk off or do anything, he was like, you need to continue doing it. So now I have all this false confidence. So I go, I'm like, stand up, it's easy. What are people complaining about? So I go a couple days later to a second open mic and I only bring like 2 friends with me. I get on the stage and my first joke did not land. My second joke didn't either. And remember, this is only my second time doing stand-up. So I'm like, what? These were killing 3 days ago. And then I got heckled. And this is the worst heckle I've ever gotten in my life. Like to this day, 8 years later, somebody yells out from the back. And it's a small place. It's probably only like 15 people in there total. And he goes, get your fine ass off the stage, bitch, with them titties.
Damn.
And I was like, good night. So yeah, get your fine ass off the stage, bitch, with them titties. And I was complimented and insulted at the same time. So I got my ass off the stage. And I was sad, but then I just kept doing it and I quit a couple times, but I kept doing it and doing social media at the same time. And at that point, like stand-up comedians hated social media people. It was like a beef.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was crazy on every level, on like a high professional level and on like the lower level where I was at. Like we're open mics. And so if you had like, you were doing anything on that line, they were like, I hate you. Like they would try to bully me and like just like push me down on the open mic list. Like I would bring people and they would like, I'm supposed to go up at 9 and I'm not going up till 2 in the morning types. It was stuff like that. Like it was wild. So I had quit. I ended up going back because like my dad was like, no, just keep trying it. I ended up getting to my first festival in Memphis. And then I saw like all these different kind of comedians. Like it was just so many different styles of comedians, so many different people, and just seeing, different Black people doing different kinds of comedy. It just made me want to start being, more true to myself. So I just kept going and kept writing and then just kind of brought more of my actual personality out in stand-up. And my real personality is very much, I don't give a fuck what you say to me. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you like what I'm saying. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm going to just be this person. So I started being more myself and then stuff just started getting better. I started getting more opportunities, started getting to perform with more people and meet different people. And it's been really good. Like the past, like I'm going to say 3 or 4 years, like the later half of me doing stuff has really gotten a lot. I've gotten to do a whole lot of stuff. So it's cool.
That is cool. It always sucks. I feel like every comedian, like at some point you're gonna bomb, and it sucks that like going into it, that's kind of like inevitable. But I'm happy you found your lane, and like you found your people, and like you found your I don't know what the word is, but you got like your vibe going.
Yeah, it's been so much. Like I'll look at old stand up of me and I cringe because I'm just like, ugh, what are you doing? Who is that? Especially like for the how comedy was in Houston. It was very segregated. So it's either you're gonna do these weird kind of alt rooms where it's like a lot of like drug jokes and like frat boy humor, and then it's the other one where it's just like all if I say all Def Comedy Jam, no, Def Comedy Jam from the, so like they saying coochie. It's old men saying coochie, like coochie and humping the stage, like it's that kind of style of comedy. And so there was no in between. So for me, being the style of comic that I am, like it was really hard for me to find my voice when that's kind of all I was around. But it's really cool also to just see how that's changing in different scenes and different circles. It's like there's more spaces for people who don't necessarily fit in boxes. You know what I mean? You can kind of move more freely. So I just don't like seeing people who just lie. Like if you don't do stand up, you don't do stand up. Do like a different kind of something. So but I know that's why some stand up comedians don't like online comedians at all, because they feel like they're not doing actual stand up. So it's just annoying to me when I see it and they're not funny and then they lie and they're like, oh, I killed it. I'm like, you didn't. I was there. So that's more so what annoys me. But I'm also all for like, hey man, if you want to lie to the people, do what you want. Like whatever, if that's what makes you happy, or you feel cool doing that, then do that. But it just sucks because I do both. So sometimes people will try to lump me with those comedians who don't really do stand up. They just do sketches, and they think I just do sketches and I don't do actual stand up. So it causes some kind of like not issues, because people don't really talk to me crazy so much anymore, but they do it first and then they'll see me do stand up and they're like, oh, you're one of us. Comedy's very weird and elitist too, so it's all weird. That's kind of a long tangent, but
no, that's fine. That sucks though. I feel like comedy, I would think it'd be like such a humble like profession, but I could see how it could still be elitist.
Man, comedians are some of the best and worst people at the same time.
Yeah,
just being honest, it's a lot of narcissism. It's a lot, but like kind of with anything, just like even like it's a lot of, and just in the cosplay community and just the nerd community period, it's a lot of, there's always going to be those people that just feel like this is what this is and this is all it can be and it can't be anything else, and if you do anything else then you're not fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like gatekeepers, or like
yeah, so it's literally like the same kind of thing with comedy. So I try not to be like that, even if it's stuff that really annoys me. I'm never gonna tell somebody like, hey, you can't do this because you do this. I'm like, yeah, that literally has nothing to do with me and it doesn't affect my life at all. So continue to do what you want to do, and I'll just be annoyed in my head and move on with my life.
Right, yeah. How did you find your voice? You were saying that like it was a struggle, but how did you end up finding it?
I just really started mentally. I had to tell myself like literally what I just kind of said, like I just want to do what I want to do. I'm very just stubborn, period. I'm very much a brat, just to bring it back to second one. I'm very much a soggy. Like I'm gonna do what I want, almost like, you know what I mean? And so I just decided like I want to perform jokes that I think are funny. Before I was trying to perform, and even like some of the sketches I was doing, I would really just like, oh man, what if they don't think this is funny? Like I'm not sure I should put this out. What if they don't like it? And then I just had to tell myself like, I care if they like it, but also I don't care, because if I keep concerning myself with if they're going to like it, then I'm never going to put it out. So I just started putting out a lot of content. And what happens is the people that like it will find it. You know what I mean? So I've been in shows where it's 400 people there and it's only 6 people laughing in the back. Like I did a show one time in Dallas. This is one of the worst shows I've ever done. It was literally packed, but there was only legit like 10 people laughing. But then there was one person in the back that was like, fuck you, that's funny, like to the crowd. So like, it sounds weird, but I perform for those people. Like everybody's not going to get my jokes. I'm never going to be funny to every single person, but like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being the comedian that I might not necessarily do all the kind of shows that everybody does, I started doing more shows at like cons and my own shows, and just even with other nerds and blurs. And I try to do as many different diverse shows as I can. But like when I'm picking my schedule or like picking shows I want to do and people I reach out to, those are the people I reach out to, because I'm like, I want to be able to go up here and talk about Sailor Moon or talk about video games or talk about Harry Potter and all this stuff like in depth and really have fun on the stage. So it was more so me having to tell myself like, do what you want. This is you performing your, it's gonna sound very up my own butt, but like this is an art. Like comedy's an art. Even making content, like it's an art. And if you're making your art for other people, it's gonna be disingenuous because you're not making it for you. But also you're not gonna have fun doing it because you're always worried about, are they gonna like it? So do what you want to do, and fuck them, legit. And the people that like it will eventually come around to you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could totally see though, like wanting to like, I'm gonna perform for those like 10 people in this one room, but like I feel like it's like 10 people in another room and 10 people in another room, and sure enough, you're gonna have like your solid like thousands of people who all mess with you.
And I love it because I do, I know a lot of comedians and even people that do social media, and they can't sell out a 400 seater, but I can. And they have hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of fans, or they can't sell out stuff, or they can't go to a con and have people buy tickets to come see them. So I've really over these years tried to cultivate like a fan base of people that I like. Like I talk to my fans, you know what I mean? I don't even like calling them fans. It's like, that's the homie. Like I actually like talk to my people and follow them, and they follow me because I'm like, if we're familiar, like I feel like I can be myself up here. So it's definitely that, like what you said, like I get 10 people here and 10 people here and 10 people here. Now I have 100, now I have 200, now I have thousands of people that I'm connected to and that are connected to me, versus me just putting out stuff because it's popular, putting out stuff because it's trending. And then that also puts me in a box because then I'm always having to chase what's popular and what's trending. And I don't necessarily get to do stuff that I like because what I like might not be trending.
Right. Yeah. And then, but I feel like in that way, like even when you're like not chasing stuff that's trending, you end up with stuff that's more evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
Which just makes so much sense.
So much sense. I can repost stuff. I think another person who's really good at that just randomly is Tony Baker. Like the animal voices and all that stuff. Like I've been following him for a while, even way before I was working with All Deaf. And I he reposts videos, but like they're still funny. And so like it's stuff that I know I've seen like 2 or 3 times, or that he's posted a couple of years ago, but it's still relevant and it's still funny. And I think that's a skill in itself, like making something that's so good somebody can watch it 10, 20, 30 times and it's still funny, or it's still good, or you still want to watch it.
Yeah, that is, because there's some things, even like I'll even go specifically to go watch it because I'm like, that was funny, I want to watch that
again. I have a lot of his stuff like saved and bookmarked. It's one that's just so funny to me, and I watched it so much it gets on my daughter's nerve. It's the one where like the duck is falling asleep, but he's talking to it like it's in a college class. Like that's just so funny to me. And that's the other thing. He has so many videos. There's so many videos I could be talking about just because he has so many duck videos. Like he's super talented. So just randomly, that's one of those people I feel like blew up off of social media. But if you watch his stand up, like that's a stand up comedian who utilized social media to get bigger and grow their platform. And I think, just me critiquing, I get on rants and tangents, I think a lot of comedians that are elitist, they miss out on being able to reach a broader audience who would like their stand-up because they don't want to use social media. And I think the pandemic was kind of an eye-opener for a lot of people that were looking down on people that do social media because you didn't have a chance to do stand-up anymore. Like there was no comedy clubs were open. So what was actually funny, I have a friend, he's pretty famous in Houston. His name's Shenadu Ogu. And he like blew up on social media. Like he's on the news in Houston. He works with like the Houston Texans and all of this stuff. And like people used to just talk so much trash about him. And those same people were messaging him during the pandemic to learn how to do podcasts and learn how to like upload stuff. And it was just interesting to see that shift. Like social media, yeah, it can get annoying, but it's a tool. I think if people look at it like a tool and not like this is your life, this is your personality built on social media, it's like no, it's a tool to connect to people. Use it as a tool to connect to people.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I have nothing to say to that. What joke are you most proud of that you've done?
Ooh. You know what? I think it might be, I actually just brought this joke back. It's basically me doing a ludicrous song as a Shakespearean play. And it's such a stupid joke, but I love it so much just because I love Shakespeare, and Ludacris is one of my favorite rappers. Ludacris, if you're listening, I love you. I think you're married, but I love you so much. And so I just video. I'm gonna send it to him like, hey, you hear me professing my love to you? But like I just brought it back, and it was cool because it was for my birthday show I just did on December 3rd. And then I never had this happen where people were like yelling for me to do other songs in this Shakespearean voice. So one of my homies, Brandon Brody, he's on All Def too. He yelled out "slob on my knob," and I did it as a Shakespearean play. And that's probably the funniest thing I've ever, slob on my knob like corn on the cob, is one of the funniest things I've ever done. So it has to be that joke. And then I'm going to give you one more too, just because I know you said one, but I started doing, I like to do voices, and I'm not great at voices, but there's like a couple of voices that I do really well. So I was talking, the whole joke is it's very interesting explaining jokes too, because you never can explain them exactly like how they sound on when you're telling the actual joke. But the joke is essentially porn. I wish they would like have nerds write porn. Like, you know, they have porn for nerds, but it's never canonical. Like you can tell a nerd did not write this. Like there's an Avengers porn, and Scarlet Witch is smashing Thanos, and I'm like, that would never happen. He killed her man. Like it would never happen. So like I want them to have nerds write that genre of porn and make it canonical. So then the whole joke is just set up so I can do all of these voices. So like I do a Stitch one, and Stitch and Meatwad have the same voice. And I just started doing Meatwad at BlurredCon actually. And this is one line I said, which was, I'm gonna just do the voice. It's hold on. Here we go, baby. Call me Meatwad, baby. Fried like, give me some grease, baby. And I said it, and everybody was just cracked. So I just kept saying it, and so now that joke is part of my set. Like I have to do Meatwad and Frylock schmangin', and he just keeps telling him, give me some grease, because grease is lube. And so that's probably one of my other favorite jokes. So I do that. I do, Fran Drescher is Mr. Sheffield, and it's the same voice as Lois from Family Guy. So, Peter. So like it's just cool doing that, because it's like I get to do the jokes, but I also get to show people some of my other talents. And it's interesting to me because like not a whole lot of female comedians do impressions, but I know so many female comedians that do impressions. So I definitely would love to see like more female comedians doing impressions.
You're so right. Also, that just blew my mind. I was just like, are you still here? Who am I talking to?
Oh, I just started.
This was so good.
Sometimes you just gotta get into it. And that sounds more like Linda from Bob's Burgers. That sounds more like Linda, right? From Bob's Burgers. But I literally just used to be in my room practicing voices. And so I do that one. Stitch is legit. Stitch is, I started off doing Schmeagle. And they have kind of the same voice. It's just different. My bad, I drink some water. Different inflections. So Stitch is more like, holla Krista. And then Schmeagle is just like a slower version. It's just like, it's literally the same voice.
I'm dead. This is great. I'm also like, I need to go check out this Slop on the Knob Shakespeare because like that.
Yo, I need to. I think somebody recorded part of it. Oh, I think I actually put it on Instagram. Somebody recorded it, and then it's gonna be part of my comedy album. So I basically turning the set I just did into a comedy album, because I was just like, why not? I don't have any, self-produced specials or anything. So I was like, I'm just gonna start making comedy albums because comedy albums used to really get me into wanting to do stand-up. Like, I used to listen to comedy albums on the way to this job I hated. I used to just listen to like Patton Oswalt, who I love, Baron Vaughn, Clayton English. He's with 85 South. He actually was just in Hawkeye, which is dope. But so I just used to listen to them in my car, and so like I was like, I want to make a comedy album. Maybe I can make somebody want to do stand-up. So this is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll definitely check it out. That'll be dope. I like comedy albums too. I feel like they're so underrated now.
Yeah, like I'm like because we got Netflix and it's a whole lot of specials coming out, but when I'm in the car and I just want to like laugh, I don't want to watch a stand-up special. Like just listening to it, and you also can, with your senses, when you take away a sense, like they get stronger. Like you can hear more of the laughs when you're just listening to the comedy. Just like with music, like you can hear the different instruments, you can hear the different laughs in the audience, and you can kind of feel the energy of the audience a little bit more to me in a comedy album. But maybe I'm just like a weirdo.
I could see that being true. I feel like you can imagine it so much better too, just because you're not like distracted by like watching it and seeing the person perform it. It's like you're letting just your imagination take over and think what it wants to think.
I'm picturing what you are doing for this act out. I don't need to see it.
Yeah. That's super cool though. And then you also you mentioned it kind of, but you work with All Def, you produce. How did that get started? And like, and also, do you have any Sailor Moon jokes?
Oh yeah. So it's funny. I'm trying to remember. I think my Sailor Moon joke wasn't even a joke. It was literally what we said earlier. I was just talking trash about Tuxedo Mask and how he didn't do anything, but like he still got with her. And I think I was just basically saying, and now I have to actually write the joke, but just about how we as women be like, but he tried. And it's like, but did he? Did he really try? Like, we give men so much credit for like not doing anything. It's like, but he threw a rose. It's like, nah, he didn't. He was just attractive. That's it. So that's kind of the joke, but it's not a done joke. It was just kind of like a on stage rant. But I was like, no, I need to write that. But I did play the Sailor Moon theme song on my ukulele after my Blurred concert, just because I did not play it well, but I did play it, and I actually have a new ukulele and I've been practicing, so I'm gonna have it by next year.
That is awesome.
And thanks. And then your other question was All Def. Yeah. So it's actually really random. It's so random. At first I didn't know how I got on there. Will Ferrell, who was part of one of the arcade tokens, had hit me up to bring me on All Def Cannabis. But so how all of it started though was I had posted a video. It was basically me in a comic book store, and I bought too much stuff. It was like $450, and it was me calling my quote boyfriend and asking him for money. So it was one of those like, shopping with nerds type, when your girlfriend's a nerd. Dating a Blurred, that's what it was called. It was a series of YouTube of Instagram videos I was doing called Dating a Blurred. Yeah. It's somewhere like we're in somewhere I'm in the car and like I'm playing all this anime music, and then I'll change costumes. So this was like the first one I think that kind of started it. And it's funny because it was one of those videos that I think I was just out and about, and I was like, I need to make some content. So the first one was like in Half Price Books, and I just recorded me buying a book that was a lot. And so then one of my homies I went to school with worked at Bedrock City, which is like right down the street from there. So it's like, I'm just gonna make a video, have my friend do a voiceover and send it in. And like that was one of my videos that just randomly kind of went viral. And I was like, yo, what? So then I posted it again maybe like a year later. It might have even been more than a year after I had did the actual video, because I'm like, man, I don't have no content and I don't feel like we're getting cute right now. I'm crusty today. So let me just post this video. And Cleo Thomas liked it.
From shout out to Cleo.
Another shout out to Cleo. It's funny because everybody think we got our online beef. We do not. We just argue a lot. Oh, okay. But he liked it, and so he actually told them about me. He was like, "Yeah, I saw this girl on here, or this one, whatever he said." And I think we should bring her on. But at that point, All Def Gaming, I wasn't posting any gaming content. I was mainly posting like anime stuff. And All Def Gaming was, it's gaming, not necessarily like pop culture and anime. But then they started seeing videos of me like, smoking weed, playing, doing stuff. And that's when Will Ferrell hit me up to be on All Def Cannabis. So I got on there in April of 2020. And then they brought me on gaming to do one video, and I was talking about Jammer Lammy, and they roasted me so hard. Which is they're haters because Jammer Lammy. Thank you. It's such a good game. For those of y'all that don't know that are listening, Jammer Lammy is the spinoff of Parappa the Rapper. Jammer Lammy is in Milk Can, which is the band that Sunny Funny was in. So she's the guitarist for that game. It's really weird. It's a weird game, but I love rhythm games. I love games like that. So I went on there and they roasted me, but they really, they liked me. So I just kept coming back and doing more videos. Eventually, I started editing for All Def, and then I became a producer actually this June, and I moved out to LA. I was already planning on originally moving to Vegas, but my brother moved. Hold on, so my brother moved somewhere else. I was like, I don't want to go to Vegas. My brother don't live there. That's gonna suck. So I was like, I might as well just come out straight to LA. And yeah, I've been producing since then. I actually got on Keep Your Distance, Kevin on Stages show, which that was also really hilarious because so a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the newer people you see on there came on during the pandemic. So a lot of us never met in person. Like it's still a lot of people that I have never physically met that I talk to like almost every other day on it. So it's really weird. Yeah. So I literally just met Tahir for the first time 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I've talked to Tahir all the time. We text, like, we're cool. But I just physically met him 2 or 3 weeks ago. I hadn't met Kev until Keep Your Distance. And Kev didn't even know I was on All Def. So, like, I had made a tweet, which random stuff of mine be going viral. And it's always stuff that wasn't what I wanted to go viral, except for that Sum 41 video. I didn't know that was going to go viral. But it was a tweet. It's always my weird tweets. And all I said was Nemo's daddy was fine. The daddy from Finding Nemo. Yo. Because it went crazy. Like, I still get tagged in it. It's still just, like, everywhere. Like, it'll be in random groups. And it'll have, like, 12,000 shares. And they like, oh, this bitch is nasty. I seen her say some nasty shit before. And I'm like, I don't want that to be my identifier. So Kev had made a video and he was like, yeah, some lady on Twitter posted this and the comments were like, some lady, she works with you on All Def. And he was like, oh, okay. What? Yeah, but it's the same thing. We're in a pandemic. So like, we've never physically met. And then, Kev's more, it's different sub channels. So like, Kev's not on cannabis. Right. When would he see me? I haven't seen Kev game, so he's not on those channels, so he wouldn't see me on anything. So he put me on Keep Your Distance, which was amazing. It was such a fun experience. I got like a whole lot of followers from that. Kev fell, which was great. It was probably one of my favorite comedy moments ever. And I met Winston Duke, who is very attractive in person. He looks so fine. Oh my God, he's so thick. I was like, yo, you thick, and this is real life thick. So I've got on there. I've gotten to do a lot of stuff with them. Just like, it's really cool because, nerds, we don't have a whole lot of friends. So when you meet people that you like and that you feel like you bond with, they become family. So it really does feel like, like these people are my family. Like it was just my daughter's birthday last month. A lot of them sent her money. Maya made like $500 last month, no lie. Dang. She made so much money, yeah. And she spent all of it. So thanks, y'all. She just turned 13. So it's cool. And then, I moved out here. It's not like I have a whole lot of family out here, but it feels like I do because, and not the sirens while we recording, and the windows are closed. It's so loud.
I'm in
What's up?
New York, so.
Oh, so you completely understand.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't even know there were sirens in LA.
Yeah, I'm close to downtown, so that's why I didn't know downtown is ratchet. Ooh.
I know that.
I didn't either. I've been out here a couple times, and I was staying in a hotel downtown when I came last time, and everybody was like, "It stank down there," and it does. I mean, like, not trying to even be funny, like the homeless population is really, really, really bad down here. So like, yeah, it'll just be doo-doo in the street or on the sidewalk. Like it's a whole lot of tent cities out here too, and a lot of people are scared to be downtown. I know it's crime and like all that stuff, and they're scared of homeless people, but for the most part, with just like if you don't mess with people, for the most part, they're not gonna mess with you. Not saying you won't get robbed, you know what I'm saying, but keep your head on a swivel. I'm from Houston, where everybody got a gun. Like legit, everyone has a gun. So like, I'm like, this is somebody just walking down the street minding their business just because they're disheveled. It doesn't mean that they're not a human. You know what I mean? Right. If I'm not bothering them, for the most part, they're not gonna bother me.
Yeah.
Although there was this one lady that just randomly cussed me out downtown. I cussed her out back, but everybody looks at you crazy. That's the other thing about LA. People out here, it depends on the area you're in, you know, like Compton and shit, like, but a lot of, because I hang around with, you know, a lot of actors and all that stuff, and so they are so non-confrontational in Hollywood, and so when I'm super confrontational, so people always look at you crazy. I'm walking down the street with one of my friends, who's another comedian, we're walking his dogs, and this lady just walks past me, and she's like, "I didn't want to fight until I saw you." So me, I was like, "What's up then?"
For real, man.
And now everybody looking at me like, "Yo," but everybody was looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, so nobody gonna look at her. She said she didn't want to fight, so she said, "What's up?" And she's like, I would beat the shit out of you. I said, "Let's go. What's up?" There's a lot of talking. What's up? And so she just walked away, and I'm like, that's what I thought. But everybody was looking at me like I was so crazy. I'm like, no, yo, I would have rocked her shit in the middle of the street. I don't care. Would have rocked her shit. So it's a lot. LA is cool though. But back to All Deaf, I really like working with them. I have fun. I mean, I get paid to smoke weed and play video games. Like, I really can't. I have no complaints.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun. That is pretty cool. Which brings me to my next question. What do you think is the best strain to watch Sailor Moon?
Okay. So, my favorite strain, and I feel like I'm going to actually look up the effects because I feel like this would be a good strain. Actually, let me look up this one too. So, one of the chicks on All Deaf Cannabis that I'm cool with, Pocahontas, is like a weed connoisseur. Like, she is like everything. So she taught me about like terpenes and all of this different stuff, and just like what to look for when you're trying to smoke. And so like I had favorite strains, but that changed once I started learning about, like, basically you can customize your high. Like, if you know what you want and how you want to feel, then you can look for that in what you're looking for. So it's like myrcene and limonene and all those different kind of that stuff. If you know what those do, then you can find a good way to get high, pretty much, how you want to get high. So I used to love Zookies. Like, Zookies was like one of my favorite strains. And it's a hybrid, but it is more of like if you're trying to, you know, be awake. But I just tried guava jelly.
That sounds interesting.
From this dispensary. And I think that might be it, because so it's a hybrid strain, right? It's super sweet. It's made from, I'm looking it up now. So they crossed wedding cheesecake, Durban Poison, OG Kush, and Strawberry Kush. So it's super sweet. It smells really good. So it kind of gives you that like, ooh, Sailor Moon feel. But also, what is it? What's the limonene in it? It's, the effects are same. So you get a body high. So you feel really relaxed. But it's also energizing. But also, like, it's weird. It's energizing and uplifting, but also like relaxing.
That sounds good, because I feel like so you want to be relaxed because you want to be relaxed, but like I want to be up so I can actually watch something.
Exactly. So I feel like, and then because it smells really good, it's like it has a sweet taste to it. I feel like that's definitely so. Like the flavors is citrus, fruity, grapefruit, sweet, tropical, like a berry kind of taste. I'm like, I feel like berry is definitely like Sailor Moon, and then the fact that it's the cheesecake, and she loves a sweet, um, definitely get you some guava jelly. But as a backup, maybe wedding cake. Wedding cake is probably one of my other favorite strains. And I think that might be the one. Now I'm looking it up. Oh yep, that one's an indica. Why'd I yell it like that? Indica. I thought it was a hybrid. It's more indica leaning. It's interesting because most weed is like in the middle, or like it'll be a hybrid but indica leaning. A lot of people are like, it's a straight indica. It's not. It's a hybrid, but it's leaning. So this one has euphoric effects on the mind and body. I actually don't think this one should. Nope, not wedding cake, because you're going to go to sleep. So yeah, guava jelly, I was right the first time.
Right.
So that is the best strain. I'm putting my stamp on it.
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome.
People the information they need.
I'll try.
Now you're doing a lot. So I want to ask you about this comic book you did. Noir is the New Black. You had a comic there. Tell me about it. I'm gonna read it after this recording.
Oh, cool. So it's actually interesting how that happened too. And I just want to throw this out because I like to always try to give advice if I can.
Yeah.
The one of the best parts about, like I said earlier, like finding your voice is in just putting content out there is you don't know who's gonna see it. So like even with me with all deaf, I had never spoken to Cleo a day in my life. You know what I mean? But he found my stuff. And so, I got on All Deaf, and because I got on All Deaf, I got different opportunities. I got to write this comic book because of the same thing. Just me posting content and people seeing who I was. And so I got hit up by, her name is Crystal. She's actually one of the co-owners for the company there for Foursquare. And so she hit me up and was just like, hey, we're coming out with this comic book. One of the writers actually dropped out, so it's super last minute. Would you be interested in maybe writing something? The deadline's going to be pretty short, but blah, blah, blah. And I had never written a comic book before. I had never been published before. I just wrote for fun, wrote some sketches and some scripts. But like I said, I had never been published. And so I met with Fabrice, who owns the stuff, and he explained it to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And he was like, you don't want to know like how much it pays or anything? I'm like, no, y'all seem cool. Like, I gotta stop doing that. But for me, like, I love money. Like, I do like money. Don't But for like projects and stuff like that, for the most part, if it seems fun and the people are cool, I'm gonna want to do it. And that's not on some like, oh, I have so much money, I don't need money. It's like, no, I need money, but I also just have badass ADHD. So I'm like, this is fun. I know you're gonna give me money. Well, just tell me how much, and then I'll do it. So my original story, which he hated, which was so funny, and he's French too, and French people do not mince words. So he felt bad because he thought he was gonna hurt my feelings. I was like, nah, bro, like my feelings I have no feelings. So it's funny. I have so many, but it's either like happy or cry.
I feel that.
That's it. And I cried about stupid stuff. Like you could call me really bad names, and I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But if you like eat my food, I might cry. So
yeah, feel it.
I feel it. See, I told you. So my original story, because it's Noir. So for people that aren't familiar, it is Black is the Noir. Noir is the New Black. I'm sorry. And so it's all Black artists and all Black writers writing noir stories. So it's the whole like mystery. You don't know what's gonna happen, and we only had 6 pages, so it's not a lot to tell, like flesh out a whole story. 6 panels, 6 pages. So I was writing a story about this guy. He worked in a bakery, and it turns out he used to be like in the military, was a spy, and this other lady came to kill him because he betrayed them to the Nazis or something like that. And he knew eventually somebody was going to come kill him. And so he let her kill him. So I hadn't decided if she was going to be like his wife or like like his wife that he also had betrayed, or like the daughter of one of the people that got killed. I wasn't sure. But Fabrice was like, you can do better than that. Like, dig deeper. He's like, it's not a terrible story, but like, nah, like this isn't, it could be way better than this. And so I was like, okay, I really didn't want it to be about France. And so I just started thinking like, okay, let me make it historical because I love history. And so Josephine Baker popped up in my mind. And I was like, I really love Josephine Baker. And I knew she was in the military. But I did not know that she spoke on Washington, the March on Washington.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, like a lot of people didn't know that. Like people that I know that know Josephine Baker didn't know that. So I'm like, I wonder why this wasn't talked about more. So that's kind of what my story is about. It's about Josephine Baker and just kind of her trying to get to the March on Washington. And once you read the story, you'll see a little bit more about it, and just kind of about her. So I didn't get to meet the artist because same thing, like we don't meet everybody. And the artist was actually from France. His name's Pat. Could not pronounce his last name, but it was really cool. And then once I got the book, because I think it's like 40 stories in there or something like that, something crazy. Everyone's story is completely different. Like nobody's story is even close to the same. People are touching on different things. Like, we all kind of touch on race, but it's also some people touching on like just like family traumas and, like LGBTQIA plus rights, like it's so many, but in the context of history, and some are doing science fiction. Some stuff is in the past, the modern, the future. So it was a really dope project to be a part of because, we didn't get to read each other's stories until, the book came out. So that was also dope. Like I wrote this really cool thing I was proud of, but also like I get to be with so many other wonderful creators and part of this project that was great. And then it got published, but now it's in Barnes and Noble. I still need to go to Barnes and Noble so I can like stunt and be like, hey, here I go. But it's just cool. And that was my first thing I ever published. And then after that, I got to do more writing stuff, and then I got to work with Mattel, and I got to work with Nickelodeon. And I'm also I was working with The Gamer. I actually stopped because I just was, as you can see, I'm doing a lot. So like I had to stop doing something. And it was The Gamer because I was actually an editor for The Gamer. So I was writing articles and editing articles and stuff like that too. And I had never done anything in publication either. And they were just like, hey, we think you could be an editor. I used to be an English teacher. So like, you can be an editor. And I was like, okay, cool, money. So yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of stuff just because I try, and I'm not afraid for it to go poorly. And I think that's why a lot of people like working with me, because I'm going to try. I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but I'm going to try, and then I'll learn, and then it could get better.
Yeah, that's all. I feel like so many things, there's just that, like, just try it out and do your best and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't lie to yourself. Like, if it's bad, it's okay. Like, it's bad. Look at it and figure out why it wasn't great, and then make it better. Like, always make your stuff better. Even if you feel like it's great, there's something else you can do to it, and just keep adding on to it. I never want to be one of those people that's like, I'm the best and I do this 100% perfectly and this is amazing. It's like, yeah, it was great, but I want to make it better. I always want to add on to it. I feel like you should always try to like be the student.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, just like always absorbing, always learning. And you also have a rap project album coming out, EP.
Yeah, it's the same thing like with all the other stuff I've been saying. So I've been writing for a while, and I actually used to try to rap. My brother's also a rapper too, which is interesting. His name's Frankie Gold. He makes like, if you like weed music, check him out. He's actually coming out with a mixtape too. So, he used to rap at the house, and I would just play around and, do that kind of thing. And most of the stuff I do is through encouragement of others. Even me like singing and stuff. People are like, hey, you're good at this. I'm like, am I? Okay, let's try it and see. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not bad. Let me try it. So it was the same thing with rap. I had actually did a freestyle. The first thing I like posted that I rapped a long time ago, I think I did It was a freestyle to June 27th, which Houston Classic, but I made it nerdy. Like I was kind of playing around. It's just, what was it? I think I remember. It's just, I'm gonna be the very best like no one ever was. Stacking paper like Legos, getting dudes is my cause. Trying to get them all up in my Pokeball. Number one like Bulbasaur, changing face like God of War. Avada Kedavra to the haters, better believe me. Call me John Cena, bitch. You can't see me. Snorlax and relaxing. I'm sleep on these hoes. Xbox Ring of Death because I'm killing these hoes. And I was just playing. But people were like, people were like, oh, that's really good. And so I did something. My friend made a beat that was from Black Dynamite, and I made something with it. And it was just like a verse. And then I decided, I was like, let me just try to make a mixtape. Like, who cares? I'll go to the studio. It's like $400, whatever. And my first mixtape is actually on like SoundCloud. It's called Roxxy versus a Roxxy Haze mixtape, and it's like me, and I look like Scott Pilgrim with a sword and everything. It's a sort of love, yeah. So yeah, the new one, it was Hey Arnold. That's what I was, okay. So Hey Arnold. It's a Hey Arnold. It's called I Like You, and it's based off of Hey Arnold because during the pandemic, I went back and started watching more episodes of Hey Arnold, and like it's such a well-written show. Like the show is really, really, really good. Like it still holds up. I didn't see this last Jungle movie. I know what happens, but I just don't want to see it. I'm just like, whatever. I'll see it eventually. I don't like the animation on it, if I'm being honest. But
I've never seen the movie, and I've always and I have no idea what happens. I need to watch it.
For the last one that just came out.
Oh wait, not the last one. I haven't seen.
Oh, the first one, man. Okay, the first one. Man, honestly, you cannot see the first one because the first one has really nothing to do with the show. I think they were trying too hard to make it like action packed. And Hey Arnold's not a action, like action happens, but Hey Arnold is very more so like about the characters and the dialogues and like, you know, their interactions with each other. They made it like a spy type thing. I don't know what they were trying to do. Probably like sell toys, but it wasn't Hey Arnold. So this movie I heard is closer to the actual show, but I just, you know, I sometimes don't like, I like imagining how the story ends instead of me seeing it because we were kind of left to our own devices with how it ended. And I like that, but I am going to eventually see it because Arnold deserves to have a happy ending. But
definitely,
yeah, I wanted to see that. So, but I just loved rewatching it. I was like, yo, people act like Helga was just this asshole. And she definitely was an asshole. But that episode where she goes to the therapist and she shows all her trauma and she goes to kindergarten by herself and just how her parents treated her. And like, she's really talented. I'm like, yo, nobody ever nurtured this little girl's talent. Like, yeah, she was a little weird pervert, but she's such a good writer. Why did nobody try to nurture that? And then I started like, oh, I relate to Helga. Like, people see you a certain way or they view you a certain way, but that's not who you are and that's not who you want to be. But sometimes people put these labels on you and you're like, okay, if that's how y'all see me, then I'm just going to be this. It's easier to be this too. Like, I don't want to convince y'all I'm something else.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this mixtape. And it's also, it's a love mixtape. This one's more love. The first one was just kind of me rapping, but this one's more on theme. And I actually got hit up by this dude named Gilla, who is a rapper and producer in Houston. He's like a nerd rapper. So he's helping me produce this one. So that's also why it's taking a little bit longer because I have an actual producer. Before I just, had some beats, but he's like making the beats. He had a guitar player come in and we're doing like that kind of stuff. So it's a completely different project. And then he's making me sing on there. First, I didn't want to sing. But he was like, no, you have to sing. You're good. So, so far we have like about 3 or 4 songs that are like done. I wanted to make like at least six full songs, 6, maybe more, depending on like how stuff's looking. But I'm really proud of the project so far. And I also feel like this is kind of the one that's gonna be like, oh, you rap, like you're actually good. It's not just like a gimmicky kind of thing. It's like, no, I actually like to write and I like to rap. So it's also, once again, it's an homage to Helga and people not necessarily seeing your talent.
I love that. That's such a good theme. Like, Helga is so underrated and she definitely needs more love.
She does.
That's dope. Like,
thanks.
I'm excited for that.
I'll make sure to send it to you when it's done.
Please do. I'm so hyped. I love rap. I love their shit. So I love it. I think you gave a lot of advice.
And Sailor Moon is going to be on the next mixtape.
Yes.
Oh, say it again. Oh,
No, I'm just celebrating. You know, I'm like down for anything Sailor Moon. Always. Yes. That's so dope. I can't wait for that and all of it. I was saying though, I feel like you gave a lot of advice throughout this podcast, but let's, I guess, piece of advice I guess you would want to give someone who was like trying to get to where you are, which
I would say, I guess is kind of to reiterate what I've been saying. Just put it out there. Like it's gonna be a tangent. I'm so sorry, but don't stress on who's liking it. Don't stress on who's watching it. Don't stress on, is this what I should just do it? Like, because the thing is, like, if it's really that bad, you could always delete it and take it down. People are going to talk about you regardless. And I think if you kind of go in there knowing that, like knowing ahead, like, hey, people are going to hate this. They're going to talk about you. They might mock you. They might leave mean comments. They're going to do all of those things. If you don't go seeking validation and you're just putting it out because you want to, you're going to be way happier with this process and you're going to go further. Like, just put it out there. Be yourself. Be your authentic self. Like, don't try to make stuff just because people like it. Make it because you want to make it. Always have the audience in mind, but that shouldn't be your first priority. Your first priority is, am I liking this? Is this enjoyable? Is this something I'm going to want to continue to do? I'm going to use you for an example. You love Sailor Moon, so it's so smart how you're doing this podcast. Like, it's not all Sailor Moon, but it definitely is centered on Sailor Moon. So you're still getting to do what you want while framing it around, an interview, which is really just a dope concept. But like stuff like that is you're very welcome. Stuff like that is so smart. And I think that's the stuff that ends up taking off, because this is something that you're probably going to want to continue to do for a really long time because it's fun for you. It seems like you have fun doing it. So use Victoria as an example. Yay. Do what you like to do. Do what you like to do. Do what you enjoy doing. Make sure it's something that's easy to replicate, and really just enjoy it.
That was fun. I like being used as an example. A good example. At least.
It's like, yeah, I'm an example. A
good one this time. A good example. Yeah.
You are.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it is. I do love doing this. Like, it's fun just having conversations with people and talking about, of course, like Sailor Moon, but like, I really just be curious, like, what do you do? Tell me more. Like, share your life with me for an hours.
And it's interesting because I am gonna go listen to through some of them. Like I said, I was skipping around, but yeah, like it was very interesting conversation. It's cool because you see people do stuff. Goes back to Helga. You see people do stuff, but people are so much more than the thing you see them doing. So it's really cool to hear interviews and get to do stuff like this, because it's like, yeah, people whole layers thing. Even with, we're going to use this Usagi because that's what we're here for, Sailor Moon. You know what I mean? She's this big crybaby, but like, she's one of the strongest people ever. You know what I mean? But like, you wouldn't just know that looking at this meatball head,
right? Yeah layers.
Bun head.
Yeah, bun head. Whatever. Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. There's so much, and I feel like you might like actually have another writer from Noir is the New Black on the podcast, Erica Hardison. So if you want to check out our episode, you might want to check that out.
Oh, I definitely will. And her name sounds right. I think I might have. Is that the lady I just talked to? No, I don't think that's the one I just talked to. But I'll definitely check her out.
Yeah, she's dope. And her story sounded really interesting. I was supposed to read it back then, but now I'm like, I'm definitely gonna read this book.
Like, I gotta read it now.
Two people or something. So yeah, and I love like noir, like detective-y stuff. So, and like mysteries. So I'm like, this is all me. I love Black people. I'm like, this is great.
We are dope.
Just like Sailor Moon had her Sailor Moon says phrase at the end of every episode. What would your phrase be? So Sailor Roxxy says.
Oh, Sailor Roxxy says, Ooh, because mine has to have a curse word in it. It's gonna be do what the fuck makes you happy and does not harm others. So it's the whole do no harm first. So with your content, with your life, try to do stuff that's gonna make you happy, something that you enjoy. Yeah. Do what makes you happy that does not cause harm to others. Boom. That's my saving Roxy says.
I think that's so good because it's true. Because it's like you gotta add a disclaimer to everything because people will just take things.
Mm-hmm. They're like, "Whoop! I'm happy with it." And it's like, no, but you're happy. Everyone else is like, not. Do what makes you happy. But don't cause mental and harm is mental or physical anguish to others. People forget the mental.
Absolutely, absolutely. Unless it's that no. And what's next for you, and where can people find you?
Oh, okay. So, All Def, let's start with them. All Def Gaming has a whole lot more stuff coming out, as is All Def Cannabis. We are dropping our arcade house stuff right now, which is where we basically went to this really nice house. They had like a pool and all this stuff. We didn't even get in the pool, but it was a really dope house. And we got to, a lot of people met for the first time, but we're playing all these games. Like we did Uno, we did like a live Overcooked, where we're like, doing all these cooking challenges. That's probably one of my favorite things that we've done. Because we're doing gaming, but like gaming is so much different stuff. It's not just video games, it's also like board games and physical games. So that's really cool to see us doing that. Overcooked episode is my favorite because that's me and Cleo fighting, and everybody's like was just so happy to see us interact in person because we fight all the time online, but to see it in person and see that this is 100% authentic was just dope, and a lot of people liked it. I also, like I said, have the mixtape coming out. It may be coming out, like I said, in February. I wanted to come out in February because, Valentine's Day and love and stuff like that. The art is going to be cute, and the artwork was drawn by J Toon. I don't know if you know him.
I do.
A lot of his work is going viral. Yeah, it's so cute. I'm actually going to repost it since I'm talking about it, but it's a super cute cover. I have that coming out. Also the comedy album, which is not named yet. The show was called 33 going on 13. But I'm probably going to change the name for the actual comedy album, so be on the lookout for that. As Victoria said, I do have Noir is the New Black. That is in Barnes & Noble. I think it's going to be I know it's available online. It's on Amazon and stuff like that too. So you can check that out. And I'm looking at my wall. Check out my Patreon, Roxxy Haze. I have a show on there that I'm bringing back, like now that I'm moved into LA and I'm settled in. It was called Tell Me a Story, Roxy, because I just have such a weird life and so much crazy stuff has happened that I didn't think was crazy, so I started talking to people about it. So I tell those stories on there. One that just got released a little while ago was how I got too high and got lost at Disneyland for several hours. So it was a lot. So yeah. Oh my God, it was so yeah, y'all check that out on Patreon and just follow me on social media. It's all Roxxy Haze, ROXXY. Say that again, ROXXY HAZE. I know it's spelled, but just in case people spell it wrong all the time, it's 2 X's. And yeah, hit me up. I love doing podcasts. My schedule is finally stabilizing too, so I'm apologizing here now because I've had to reschedule this several times and I felt bad because I wanted to do it, but I kept moving and stuff. So I'm back to regular schedule. So if you want me to come on your nerd podcast, please hit me up. And I think that's it. Anything else, just you'll see it on my social media.
Yeah, I mean you got a lot. So I mean
Yeah.
I'll drop links, of course, in the podcast description. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
That's so cool. And once again, I am Victoria L. Johnson, host of the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. You can find me at Miss Old School, that's Old School with a K, on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter, Moonies_Club on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok at Sailor Victoria, and we have merch at mooniesclub.com if you want to get some Sailor Moon inspired merch. And that's it. Thanks, Roxy, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for listening, Moonies.